Hello, hello. It is an episode of Remodelers on the Rise Live. Dan, what were you doing 5 minutes ago?
Hi, 5 minutes ago, I was at a NARI meeting. I'm on the
No,
board for the Education Committee, so we were talking about speakers coming up.
there we go. And then I was saying, hey, my man Dan, you coming on to StreamYard? You going to be here? And he said, ooh, 1 minute. The old Central Time Zone, Eastern Time Zone thing, sometimes it bites us.
Yes, it does.
But here we are. We are on time. We are going to talk about, the title says, Don't Give Away Your Design and Project Development Time. Start charging more. And I put Dan Baumann's beautiful picture on the old promo video or promo graphics. And we had a lot of people that kind of clicked the like button. Dan is somebody who has gone deep in the topic of Cheif Architect in particular. A lot of people know him as the Cheif Architect. Do you want to be called a guru?
Yeah, whatever. That works for me.
Guru, expert. Yep. So why don't you just give... So why don't you give the people a little bio and who you are, and then I'm going to dive into this topic.
Okay, was a remodeling contractor for 20 years. Got involved with Cheif in '93. Used it in my business for 3 years. Fell in love with it. Became a dealer, trainer. Have been doing that ever since. So drawing plans for people, teaching people how to use it, coaching, all of that. This topic that we're about to talk about, what got me was when I was contracting, back in about, I started in '76, so I ended in '96, and I just hung up my license and pursued this other stuff. So in about the late '80s, it was early '90s, I went on a strong referral job. I was super busy, didn't really have time for new work. Thought, okay, this is cool. So nice addition, kitchen remodel kind of a deal. And I said, just out of the blue, and I'd never done this before. Just out of the blue, I said, yeah, I'd love to do your project, but we're super busy right now. But if you wanted to move forward, we do charge a $750 design fee cost. And the guy left the room and came back and gave me a check for $750 to get started on his plans. Never charged for a plan before that. No one ever told me I could.
What was going on in your head when you did that? You were just feeling frisky that day?
I wanted the job. Yeah, I guess I was. I just plucked it out of the blue for some reason. So anyway, I started charging everything from that point on, and it changed the way I did business. Even if it was $100, just to come up with some ideas. I charged something, and it really weeded out the chaff of all the leads that I was going on. So it really made a big difference.
Gotcha.
So over the years, I've been teaching and preaching and promoting that concept to everybody. And a lot of people that I've talked with over the years have made that a profit center in their business now, which is what it should be.
So we'll talk more about profit center because there's that aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's the aspect of protecting your time and getting paid for the value you're delivering. And what you just described there is I've seen it constantly in my years of coaching on this topic of, going from, I don't know if I can do that in my area, or people won't pay for that. I'm supposed to do that for free, to when you receive that first check, all of a sudden going, oh crap, why wasn't I doing this a long time ago? This is fun. Yeah. This is a huge qualifier, and my closing percentage just went up. So there's so much value in doing this.
What's really weird is, I tracked everything I did. I'm always a data guy. And so I tracked every lead, every job I went on, every proposal I did. And what happened when I started charging for plans, I would close about 3 out of 10 proposals that I would give. All right. So then I started charging for plans. So then I go from doing 10 proposals to doing 3. All right. Because 7 people say, I'm not going to pay for design services. I'll go somewhere else. Or it's just shopping for ideas or whatever. So I'd go 3 out of 10. I'm still getting 3 out of 10 leads. And I would close 85 to 90% of those 3 that I would actually spend my time working on and getting paid to do the work. So big difference.
And not wasting your time on the other ones.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're going to talk about, before we get into some of the particulars of that, we're going to talk about the 4 elements of a good plan.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some reasons we should be charging more for your home plans and get into you've got a bunch of different reasons there. I'm going to ask around some specific ones. And kind of the goal of this is, one, for those of you who don't know Dan, this is a good introduction to him. If you go to chiefexpertsacademy.com, you can find out more. And he does, I think Michael Anschel commented on the preview post and said, "Oh, Dan has trained all of my designers."
Yeah, and I've known Michael a long time. My son used to work for him. He's a great guy.
And I have a lot of clients who I have a lot of clients who have gone to your training, and a lot of times when people are getting into Cheif Architect, it's kind of like, all right, go to chiefexperts.com, go to chiefexpertsacademy.com, start getting tuned in with the work that Dan's doing. Yeah. So that's part of the reason we're doing this podcast, is so I can introduce you to my friend and colleague, Dan. And then secondly is to just get you even more clear and fired up for, doggone it, I am worth it. I'm going to start charging. Maybe you're already charging for design and project development. You're going to charge more. Maybe you have been kind of doing it as like I charge, but then it just kind of rolls into the deposit on the job. You know what? I'm going to shift things and make this a profit center in my business. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Yeah. So before we go kind of into the reasons, tell us about the 4 elements of a good plan.
Yeah, 4 elements. Well, depending on who you talk to, there could be more, but I've always looked at it as, all right, so if you're doing a remodeling job, which is, you and I both deal with tons of remodelers. My background is remodeling. And I've seen this happen all the time, where people go out and do a quick sketch of a job and they come back and try to do some plans off of that, and they get a halfway decent, halfway not so decent plan of the project they want to work on. So one of the nice things about charging for services is you can spend the time you need to get a good as-built of a job. So that's the number one thing you've got to have. If you have a lousy as-built drawing, you're going to have a lousy project. A contractor that I know, Bjorn, he was in one of my classes once, and he said, yeah, I went out and measured this bathroom, and I was in a super hurry. So I took some quick numbers, and I went back and drew it up later, sold the job. He got his guys out on the site, and he gets a call one day, gets a call from his guys, say, hey, we can't do this bathroom because measurements are off by 2 feet. The room's 2 feet smaller than your plan. It's like, oops.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, I had to stop everything.
No, Dan, I'm not a huge, designer myself, nor am I very handy with the hammer. But even I know that is a major leak problem.
That's not a good thing. So as-builts are important. Conceptual plans. So someone's got to take the time to come up with ideas, to ask the client questions, to Michael, I'll start with as-built. There you go.
Michael usually he wants to tune in to see me, but he was especially excited to see you today, Dan.
Hey, Michael, how you doing, man? Thanks for being here. Looking forward to being with you on the marketing committee in there, amongst other things. So your concept plans, someone's got to come up with the idea. Someone's got to ask all the right questions of your clients to pull out the information to be able to create a concept plan that's going to work for them. So again, you can come up with ideas all day, but if they're not what the client wants, what's the point? Okay, with Cheif Architect, you're able to do 3D modeling.
All right, so the 4 elements, we got as-built plans, number 2, conceptual plans, and then number 3.
Number 3 is modeling and rendering. That the 3D modeling and rendering is where you take those concepts and you're going to start to fine-tune them now and start to add things to your project that the client's going to get really excited about. Okay, so, and you might even start doing the nice renderings where you're doing the, start adding colors and different things like that, okay, cool. So with Cheif, you've got an amazing communication tool where through your 3D graphics, you can show the client what you're proposing for them. And really a great sales, a great communication tool. Cheif's I've always said it's one of the best communication tools in the industry.
It's interesting. I've never heard a kind of reference like that of what are you talking about, Dan? It's a design program. What do you mean communication tools? Expand on that a little bit.
Well, picture's worth 1,000 words. If you can show someone a picture of the ideas you have for them, okay, well, there you go. You're communicating your thoughts via pictures.
Okay.
That's where that's
and then the 4th element of a good plan is what?
Detailed working drawings. And again, there's steps in between each of those. Of course, you've got to do the, we won't get into that, but the detailed working drawings. So it takes a lot of time to put together the details for a construction project. So if you're doing a room addition, you're doing a second floor, whatever, somehow you have to communicate all of the details, not only to the client, but to those people that are going to build it, the people that are going to do the estimating on the materials, the people that are, everybody in line that's going to work on this project. You now have to give them that information. So that detail takes a ton of time. It's kind of the hardest part of the whole project is the detailing of the job. It's fun doing all this conceptual stuff and lay out all these great ideas and, oh, this is cool. Then you got to go, oh, I got to draw how this beam's going to work and put all the, deep notes in there and all of that.
So are you saying in order to do it right, in order to properly plan for a remodeling project, that there's no way around it? You've got to put in the proper time on design and project development?
Bam, exactly. I mean, in time, it's bottom line. It takes time to do these things. I've looked at plans that, you think, oh, the weird thing about a good set of plans, okay, that most people don't see is all of the time that you put into those plans to try different ideas, to work with different layouts, to try different kitchen work centers, to all these things that you tried and you spent hours and hours and hours doing to get to this final plan where it looks, oh, that's cool. That really turned out nice. You just kind of plucked that out of thin air and drew that up in a couple hours, didn't you? No, it doesn't work that way. You might have, 30 hours of time into a layout that someone looks at and go, I couldn't have taken very long. That's what people don't see. And that's where this whole idea that plans are a commodity that, at times
some would say that's hogwash.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know what hogwash means, but I think I used that right. So I think that's just interesting to kind of hear. Look, there's 4 elements to this. It's not just, we create a design. So I think it was interesting to break that down. Before we get into the reasons you should be charging more for your remodel and your design plans, I want to insert a couple other questions and get your feedback on it.
You bet.
One is, if I'm a remodeler who wants to start taking and learning the design aspect of things, of going, man, I'd like to learn those skills. I see where if I develop those skills over the next decade, that's going to really bode well for me. And I have an interest in it. Should they look at, honestly, let me ask this, as somebody that isn't, in depth with design programs, should I be recommending anything other than Cheif Architect to those people, Dan?
Yeah, I don't pay a ton of attention to other CAD programs. I know there's good programs out there. You got your ArchiCAD, you got your Revit. SoftPlan is a competitor to Cheif Architect. I mean, Cheif Architect has been and always has been developed for small builders and remodelers to draw buildings. That's it. That's what they developed this program for. And that's the people that give the feedback to get the types of function in the program that you see today. So I would say, yeah, it's probably one of the best choices out there. The cool thing about Rhino, okay, SketchUp.
Someone said that. Another person said we use SketchUp as well as Revit.
Yeah, I mean, so there's good programs out there, and if you've got a good program that's working for you, bam, stick with it. The bottom line is charge well for your design services. That's what we're really talking about. I've taught Cheif now for a long time, and I've helped thousands of people get going on it. And I've seen what it's done for their businesses. I've seen how it's changed the industry. Of course, I'm going to recommend Cheif Architect. The cool thing about Cheif is they got a home version, the Cheif Architect Home Pro version that you can get into for $500 or $600 now. It's a great way to get into the software to try it. It works amazing for that kind of money. And then you can apply what you paid for that toward the purchase of a full version if you want to. Which is, I think, 3,000 or something. You go to their website, Cheif Architect.
Cool. I just want to sneak that
question in.
So let's talk about some of these reasons they should be charging more.
Okay. So in the handout that you can get, I don't know if you posted a link for it or not.
Bailey's about to. I bet you posted in the comments.
Okay, cool.
But if you go to chiefexpertsacademy.com, there's 15 reasons you can and should charge more for your plans.
Actually, 17 or 18, but
Dan, you're confusing people now. Dan,
all right.
Your handout says 15 reasons you can and should charge more. Now you're saying there's 17.
Well, there's bonus reasons. Okay, I gave bonus reasons. So the number one reason, it's the best path to a commitment. All right. As soon as someone's written you a check or transferred money to you, however they do it these days. You've got a commitment, and they've committed to you. They trust you to work on that particular project. So that's the number one thing. That'll weed out the chaff. It'll weed out the people that are just tire kicking, looking for the lowest price. Waste your time. So,
but
really,
Dan, if I charge them, I'm kind of giving up. And if they say no, I've lost that opportunity, Dan.
well, then learn how to sell better.
Woo.
Okay.
I like that answer.
Bam.
All right, that's a big one. Give me another one. Let's rapid fire through some of these.
Professionals,
fired up.
pros get paid for their services. You guys are pros out there. You've spent years developing this. One of the things that always gets me is people in this industry, you just kind of get hardened to the fact that you know a lot about how buildings put together and how the building should be designed and how it should work for client. And you just kind of just, just another day. Well, I challenge you. Well, okay, go do surgery on your own foot. Okay. You might need to learn a few things about how to do that. You might have to go to school for like a dozen years. You guys are kind of the same deal. You've been in this industry a long time. You've learned a lot about what works, what doesn't work. So get paid for your services, man. You deserve it.
I like that. You know what, Dan? I'm gaining some momentum here. You know what they need to hear? They just need to hear like all 15 of them in 15 minutes. I like what you're doing here. Okay. Number one, you know, as far as getting paid and charging more for your home plans, it's the number one path to a commitment. Doggone it, work with people that value what you offer. You've got to weed out the bad leads. You only have so much time. You need to invest more and more time with your ideal clients and less time with fewer. Because like we said before, it takes so much stinking work to do this properly. But if we can do it properly, if we can actually put the proper time into design and project development, there's a ripple effect in a good way that the whole project goes so much smoother.
Oh my God,
the project stays on time. It stays on budget. There's fewer surprises. There's fewer headaches. So we've got to fight for that time. And doggone, if you start charging for it, you get a commitment that helps. Number two, you said professionals get paid for their services. Stop pretending like you're less valuable than a doctor who's gone through all those years of training. You've put in your 10,000 hours to become an expert at this. Go out there and get paid for it. What's number three?
Number three, professionals work on building relationships. All right. So because you've weeded out the tire kickers and stuff like that, and you hit on a little bit, now you can spend the time that you need to with your client and build that relationship and build that trust level, build that communication. People like to buy from people they know and like. Know, like, and trust, I think, is the three things that people are looking for. So you get paid for your services. That gives you the time you need to go do that and get build that relationship with your client. Love it. So really the big deal. Number four, as built. Okay, I do have this open on my screen. That's why I'm looking over there. As built are an essential for a remodeling project. Okay, so a good as-built is worth its weight in gold. So when you can spend the time you needed to do that as-built, it really pays off. I take my laptop to the job site and I draw the as-built into Cheif Architect while I'm on the job site. I don't miss anything. When I come away from that deal, I may be there all day doing that. I just communicate with the client. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the job. I'm going to spend all day measuring. The benefits of that are enormous because you're getting paid for it. You feel good about being there working on it. You're going to take the time you need to get accurate dimensions. You're going to learn about the building. You're going to learn about how the client lives because you're going to be in their house looking at things. You're not snooping. It's just part of the whole process. If you're doing a kitchen, you're going to open the cabinets and look at the things in the cabinets, these kind of pots and pans. And these are special things that they have. You can see pictures of it's really a big deal. So,
and we don't have to linger on it, but have you looked at that Canvas app? It's kind of a snazzy
Canvas,
way.
Matterport.
Pretty cool.
There's a couple other ones out there too that are really making good headway into the industry now, and highly recommend them. So there's still nothing like being on site measuring then, but I understand contractors are busy. They need to get things done quickly. So what I'm teaching now is use those programs to get the information quickly, get the drawings, conceptual stuff going quickly. But I always caution when you do get a signed agreement, make sure you go back and double check all your dimensions from the app to make sure they're accurate. Okay.
So folks, we're talking to Dan Baumann, chiefexpertsacademy.com. If you want to get this 15 reasons you should charge more, we're talking about reasons you should be charging more for your design work. We've hit on 4 of them. Number 5, it says, take the time needed to get the right information.
Right. And there again, because you can spend the time you need to with your client, you can ask the right questions. You can ask, different questions and find, you're going to ferret down that information to the stuff you need to satisfy your client.
I like that. Number 6.
Finalizing the details in advance saves time. Okay. So the details you need for a project, we hit on this a little bit earlier, it takes a ton of time to put together the details that you need to for all the selections, all of the details about how the building's going to be put together. Takes a lot of time. And, if you've got the time budgeted and you're getting paid for it, now you can do that. Well done plans eliminate mystery and surprises. Okay. And that's the example I gave you earlier about the guy that mismeasured his bathroom and off by 2 feet on a little room. It's like, bam. There's kind of a little surprise there that kind of threw a kink in everything. To find out that your sink's not going to be here for 3 more months because of the delays. Good idea to have that kind of information ahead of time before you start the project. You'd hate to have so you can work through a lot of those questions that would cause delays in a project. Planning saves time and money. So what I mean by that is, say you charge $10,000 for the project, for the plans for a project. Okay?
How much?
We'll say 10,000. Just pull that number out of the bank. All right. So because you've taken and you've done all of these things, you've spent time with the client, you've measured the job right, you created a good set of plans. All right. So you're going to eliminate change orders. You're going to eliminate mistakes. You're going to eliminate a lot of things that could go wrong in a project. You might be able to, I don't know, I have to look at my list here again, but this one might be where you do some value engineering with your client. So you bring it in and it's coming over budget. So, okay, well, let's try different materials here instead of using the $1,000 gold faucet, we'll use the $100 brass faucet. Those kind of value engineering things. Not a great example, but you get the idea.
We get your point.
Yeah. All right.
And guess what we're doing now? We're going to do 2 more, and then we're going to say, look, there's 5 more on this list.
And
but
some
you
bonus
need to go download it because this is a 30-minute show. But I feel like we're delivering good value. I want you to hit on 9 and 10.
9 is a good one.
And then I have another topic for you.
Number 9 is really nice because if you have a client that looks at a floor plan of you sketched out, you drawn out a plan, and they go look at it, oh, that looks great. But really what they're saying is, I don't have a clue what the hell I'm looking at. And so you get into the project and you start putting it together, and then they look at it, well, that's not quite what I wanted. Well, good set of plans, 3D drawings, renderings that you can look at, all that kind of stuff. Again, you communicated much better with the client. They're going to be happy throughout the process. Yeah. So plus it gives you.
So number 9 is an informed client is a happier client.
Yeah. Transparency, be transparent about everything. I used to, with every project I would sell, one of my forms I would have the client fill out was a sheet I had printed up, all the things that are going to go wrong in your project. And I have them sign that. And then part of that was the remodeling fever thing too, which you look that up. You can, and I'd pull that thing out halfway through the project when the client's pissed at me. And I'd say, remember, I told you this was going to happen? And they go, oh yeah, that's right. End of discussion. An informed crew is a more productive crew. All right. Good set of plans, good renderings, good drawings, 3D framing, maybe that you can show them. They go look at it and go, oh, okay. But then go build it. Done. They have questions. They go look at the plan. Okay. Done. How many times have, I've talked to so many production guys that say, yep, I'm a production guy / firefighter. Spend half my time putting out fires. Yep. It's just like, this will help you guys take out a lot of.
Yes, and we need to see that there's just a direct correlation between the number of fires on a job site and the amount of time spent in design and pre-planning. Let me repeat that again. There is a direct correlation between the amount of mess and chaos and last second surprises and fires on a job site, and it corresponds to the number of hours that you've put into design and planning. Now, it's remodeling. There's going to be issues, but there's a direct correlation between the two. Somebody just said, love that. That was related to writing that out and saying, look, here's what to expect. Somebody said, cannot agree more, that correlation.
Yeah.
Michael said, there's not 15 reasons you can and should charge more for your plans. He says there's 200 reasons. Yeah. Back to when we were talking about just Cheif versus other programs. One advantage of Cheif is that it helps you avoid doing something stupid. The other programs will let you draw anything you want, regardless of its buildability. So that's kind of built in. So if you go to, again, cheifexpertsacademy.com, you can download the rest of that. But what I heard there in just the, why can you charge more? It leads to better commitments. You're a professional. You're building relationships. You've got incredible as-built plans that make things essential. You're taking the time to get the right information. You're finalizing the details in advance. Well done plans eliminate mystery surprises. So those were things that everybody needed to hear. The last thing I kind of wanted to get your take on, your feedback on, and if somebody else wants to throw a comment or a question, we can sneak that in as well. But, Dan, how should they go about what they actually do charge? Okay, yes, they should be charging more, but what are some of your thoughts on, what should they be charging?
Well,
how do they approach that topic?
First thing is charge something. Okay. If you're not charging now, charge something. Start by charging $100. Okay. That'll get you in the game. All right. There's a lot of different rules of thumb about what you should charge. One way to look at it is keep track of the time you spend on the plans you're working on. So you got 100 hours into a set of plans and you're charging $1,000. Now, if you like working for $10 an hour, great, keep doing it. A good draftsperson, a good designer should be a minimum of $75 an hour and up. Okay. I know guys that charge $250 and they're still a great value. Okay. You might charge based on a square foot price. I've heard, if you're new homes, I've heard anywhere from 50 cents to $3 a square foot. And there's all sorts of ways to spin that. Okay. You could charge by the percentage of the project. That seems to be one of the more popular ones. And a lot of designers a lot of contractors I talk to now are generally in the 4 to 5% in that range. Again, there's no real hard, fast rules of you need to do this, you need to do that. But whatever works for you, whatever you can do to make it a profit center, treat it just like any other activity in your construction business, whether it's electrical, plumbing, carpentry. You're going to job cost it. You're going to keep track of how much you're making on your design services, and bam, everybody wins. You get happier clients and you're going to make more money. Right? So you're going to have better projects.
Right. And that's a little shift. I'd say there's a good number of remodelers who are charging for design and development, and that kind of look at it of going, it's okay for design and project development to be a loss leader. What I'm really after is that $150,000 design build contract. That's where I'm making my money. I got my markup on materials and labor and trade partners, and that's where I'm making my money. And that shift away from that, and I've been seeing more people kind of shift of going, you know what, I can treat the design and project planning phases as a profit center. I can still be marking up, and
I always tell people, you're going to send your plumber out to the job to replace the kitchen sink and the cabinet in the kitchen and hope that you'll get the kitchen project, and you're going to do that for free. Probably not. You're going to go spend all this time and energy doing kitchen plans for this client and do that for free? I hope not, because you're doing everybody a disservice if you do that.
Okay. Man, what's another thing on your mind this fine Tuesday afternoon, sir?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Winter's coming. That's another thing too, there's so much demand out there. There's never been a better time to charge for design services and charge a good, fair price. I always say fair price, whatever that means to you guys. But be fair. And, look at the reasons. Michael says there's 200 reasons.
There's
why you should
200.
try.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
wait to read his free report that has the 200 reasons.
I
I
know.
was pretty
I'm looking
impressed with
forward
your
to
first
that
meeting.
too.
Yeah, get to work, Michael. Good. Well, the
Go
goal
get
the
them,
goal
guys.
today the goal today was to have a little for people to be introduced to you if they don't know you. The goal today was to talk about design and kind of the four main elements of a good plan, and to apply some pressure and some push and some encouragement on why we charge for plans and for project development.
Yeah,
And even though the half hour goes quick, I feel like we achieved what we were after here, Dan.
I think we did. So yeah, if you have problems with this whole concept, take some sales classes. Go to YouTube, look up Tom Hopkins. I learned how to be a good question asker, listening to his
Interesting.
sales tactics. That's really what you want to become, is a good question asker and a good listener. That's what this is all about. So go
I like
for it.
that.
Go get them.
If people wanted to get a hold of you, Dan, for more info, would you like to point them to?
You can get a contact form on Cheif Experts Academy. It's chiefexperts.com or chiefexpertsacademy.com. Takes the same places. I'm Dan at chiefexperts.com. So you can reach me that way if you want to.
Dan, it's a pleasure as always. I'm glad we were able to pull this together.
This was fun.
I'm glad you dialed in, because 4 minutes before this, I'm going, all right, let's say Dan really thought it was a central time zone and he doesn't show up. What am I going to talk about? And my mind was very blank at that moment. And then you shot me the text back, said, I'll be there. I'm logging in.
Kyle,
I
I
didn't
know
have to worry about it.
you would have no problem coming up with something to talk about. So
that's probably true. I would have heckled you and stuff. It would have been fun. All right, my friend. We'll talk again soon. Thank you, everybody, for dialing in, for commenting, and talk again soon.
Thanks, guys.